Gary gang. 3 o'clock on, or 3:30. Saturday afternoon, October the 9th. Welcome to Juma Game Reserve, everybody, and welcome to our PM Safari. Beautiful weekend that we're having. Lovely sunny afternoon. I've got to move as we're opening up. Sorry, I've got to move. But I might as well just move here into the shade or so, because I want to get to the lodge just before the drives go out. And if the Gari gang will let me, I want to show you some interesting behavior that perhaps we haven't seen out of the Gari gang all dry season. And I'm actually wondering if anybody can maybe guess what it is, what they're doing. What are they doing? Observation takes beyond just seeing something to interpreting what it's doing and making deductions. My name is Mark. Seb is on camera. Tara is in final control. And beautiful day that we're having. All the cold fronts have moved on. There's clear blue skies. I do not see even a wisp of a cloud, although there is a very strong hot berg wind that is blowing in from the north, and that always heralds something coming up from the south. As the Shangans say, when the wind comes from the north, it goes to fetch the weather in the south, because our weather does come from the south. You can see by the coat of this baboon. Who is that? Yes, who are you? I'm looking at you. Oh, it was the other one that was standing up. This is Psycho, maybe. It's early for them to be back close to their sleeping tree, or rather it's earlier than they have been coming back. But they can afford to be close to home, because at the moment their feeding has, their whole feeding pattern has changed somewhat. And if you guessed what I was talking about was that they're grazing, your guess was right. They're walking across the open area, and blade for blade they're picking grasses and eating grasses. Except for Gordy, he's sitting biting his nails or something. I mean, he's just... But the rest of the girls, they're sitting in a spot. They use two hands sometimes. But when they're grazing and they're able to digest the grasses, they got to take in as much as possible. But you see, they're not grazers like the impala are grazing with their mouths. Baboon hand feed themselves. There's very little that they're actually going to pick up and feed with their mouth. And it's quite a laborious thing to just pick blade of grass for blade of grass. But this is what they're doing, and that is because the recent rains have gotten the grasses growing, and it's quite nutritious. And they are able to... Basically, it's like the salad bar. They've probably been feeding on a bunch of insects and roots and shoots and all sorts of things during the day. You're going early, guys. Nampons.
3, 2.
Nampons is vrienden. Children have arrived. They must have been playing somewhere. Text coming. calling you, Mr. Texan.
I just hear coming.
Yeah, I just got a call handheld radio. I forget I've got to press the button first, then talk. From where you going east?
I'm gonna check 3 hours left and east.
Okay, copy. When your food is scattered all over the bush, it's not a case of gathering enough or being able to go to sit down and have a meal the way we do and eat enough in one sitting. For almost all the animals, including the baboon, it's all about spending all your time eating little bits, and that's why you don't see some that are different weights than others. They don't have a specific meal time. For a baboon, it's and pretty much everything else, it's just a case of constant ingestion of food. Unlike the cats and the carnivores, they try and gorge themselves because they don't know when they're going to catch something next. When your food doesn't run away from you, when your food is static and you're a vegetarian or an omnivore, as in the baboon and the vervet monkeys and the warthogs, you can take your time filling up your stomach. It's a lovely family portrait, that, actually, in the shade of a marula tree. Gordy suddenly filling out, suddenly becoming a man. Well, I'm going to make one stop before we get out on our drive, and I want to head east, north and east. And I have reasons for that. Bye bye, children. Enjoy the afternoon. I've got to turn around because I'm on the helipad. This is the helipad, demarcated by these logs. Otherwise it's the same patch of grass as the rest of the open area. But I'm just going to make one turn in camp. For those of you who have been viewers for a long time, for those of you who are new viewers, welcome to our drive. But we do become a family, and in the process new ones are born and some people pass on. And Joe, I hope you're with us, because this is for you, Redtail, into the entrance of the lodge. And while we're here, we can look at a couple of flowers, maybe, that are flowering. We can look at a couple of other things in dedication. Texan's already out on drive. I thought they were only going out later, but maybe the whole family wanted to go out early. Andrew's drive is getting ready. So this is Vuyatela's entrance. This is the entrance to the lodge. There are some beautiful, what we call impala lilies. Now, when they were flowering, I was here. I popped in. What I'd just like to show you quickly, and maybe we'll come back when they're open. But the seed pods, really beautiful seed pods, maroon-colored things, long and thin. Pointed out to you. At the moment, the seeds are growing within those pods. The seeds are all tipped with fairy-like wings, very similar to dandelions or milkweed. Very fluffy tips, or very fluffy dispersing appendages. Oh, the That beautiful mosaic work, by the way, of the name of the lodge is done by Pippa. Pippa is one of the owners of the lodge. Pippa and Yuri Moolman. They're the owners of the lodge. Hello, Amos. How are you? Good, thanks. So just the game lodge and the game drive vehicle. But the clock on the wall is why we're here. The one on the far right, the new one, unfortunately it looks like it was impossible to get it carved the way it used to be carved.
What do you want, Mark? Sorry.
The plaque on the wall there, the one on the right. Yeah, that one in the middle now. Some of the plaques on the left were carved many years ago. And we've looked at those in the past, but a new one on the wall.
This one.
Yeah. And that's for calm.
Who is calm?
Wild Earth and the camera here at Juma has been around a long time, and it has attracted the attention of many people who have fallen in love with the animals and the ambience that you pick up from a place like Juma. Even though it's only a camera, and even though some of the people that are family through the internet have never been here, we still are all very, very close. And over time, some of those viewers and some of those people have passed on, and to commemorate their time with us on camera, Pippa, the owner, has arranged for plaques on this wall of remembrance. You're on candid camera. Hello, Henry.
Hello, how are you, Mark?
Fine, and you?
Good, good. How's
Good.
your day?
This is Henry, everybody.
Oh,
But you've seen our camera before.
yeah, long time.
Yeah, more when you were
I think
tracking.
they know me by now.
You must come and chat to us on Fireside Chat one day.
Yeah, I will come again.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I've been dead, you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll bring you over again one of these days.
Okay.
Yeah. Where are you going to go this afternoon? East.
Yeah.
I'm going east now, just in case.
Okay. See you there.
But which way you want to come?
Central.
Central.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can come back in Dem Road or check number road.
No, maybe I'll go up onto Firebreak.
Okay. It's okay. See you there.
I'll go central to Gary Cutline and go up to Buffalo Dam.
I will just go straight up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure where Texan. I think Texan went to Treehouse Dam.
Yeah, you left already.
Yeah. Okay, I just came to film the wall.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers and four. Have a nice drive. See you later. I'll call you for Ingwe or Madach or something. What can I show you while I'm here? The one thing I want... Okay, there's one thing I wanted to show you. Because flower-wise, there's not really much. The aloes have stopped flowering. The impala lilies are not flowering. But just above the fence, apart from the jacaranda to the left, the frangipani, you have to... You cannot imagine the scent of the frangipani. And I know they're not indigenous, neither one of them, but a lot of camps that go back to the 70s, 60s and 70s planted alien trees because they thrived in the hot, dry climate. They provided good shade, but also for some of them, like this frangipani. Frangipanis we have all over the coast, especially the Natal, KwaZulu-Natal coast where penny comes from. And to the left we have the jacarandas, and well, everybody knows jacarandas. They're jacarandas in California and Miami and all temperate regions, come from South America. the one tree that is going to be exquisite on the other side of camp that we'll be seeing in a month or two is the flamboyant, also known as a Christmas tree. So, flowers around a plot. Not to forget that the name of the seed pod. Oh, Dr. Rita wants to know the name of the seed pods. Dr. Rita, those were flowers that I put on camera a while ago. I'm sure somewhere on my Facebook page there are photographs of the impala lily. If not, I'll try and post them as soon as possible. It is the most striking flower that we get in the dry season in some of the lower lying areas of well, most of East and Southern Africa. They're just different species. Here we have Adenium multiflorum, which is a little bit different to, I think it's Adenium obesum up in East Africa. There's a slight difference to the amount of white and pink in the flower. So just same genus, different species. And they go by several names. There's either the impala lily, there's the desert rose. Here in South Africa they're known as the Sabi star. And it's one of the very, very few really bright things that you'll find. This pink and stark flash of pink and white in the middle of the dry season. It's a semi-succulent. It is also particularly the species Adenium obesum is highly toxic. You can even absorb some of that alkaloid through your skin. I think it's an alkaloid, and it can affect you that way. Oh, there's a bird. Yellow bird. Oh. I don't know if we're going to get to see it. It's a really bright afternoon. My eyes are not dealing with the bright. Are we going to be able to see that yellow one? No. It's flown up into the apple leaf, and it's against the sun. That's okay. I'll find another one. Many more where that one came from. Ours are yellow, where other parts of the world they're red. But they're not even related, I don't think. The orioles from Africa and the orioles from North America. Must be zebra around, because they were rolling in the dust. No tracks of any cars on top of it. Can't be too far. was a raptor that flew very low through the trees. It looked like a fairly large raptor. It might have been, or it might have been a cuckoo. And I hope I'm forgiven for confusing a raptor with a cuckoo, but at that distance through the trees there's a similar sort of silhouette, similar outline. But I'm not seeing anything. Nothing but a dove. Not to say that the dove isn't special. Just the cuckoos are coming back and becoming active. So. Some of us are starting to get withdrawal symptoms from elephants because we seem to be going into a period of time when elephants are not that active in this part of the world. I had a few bulls. We went through how many months of family groups, breeding herds, and the odd bulls that came through with them. And lately we've had a few bulls around, but not too many family groups. That one family group that had a really new baby, I was hoping we could see them before they moved back into Kruger. We'll keep our eyes open for tracks today. Elephant tracks. But we're really out for an afternoon's drive where anything is game. Is there any news of what was at Juma Waterhole camera today? JJ, sorry Seb, I was listening to a question and I was looking at, and I didn't tell Seb where I wanted the camera, but
You want it?
if we can get it. It's one of the few things that's walking around in this heat. but I can find others. Yeah. Very soon I'm going to start arranging it, but very soon we're going to be leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we need to get back into this sort of frame of mind that, well, not frame of mind, but this frame of time that at the end of our drive we're doing a little bit of night stuff because there's going to be interesting night stuff to be seen nowadays. So very soon, I don't know when it's going to be. We have to discuss it with Wild Earth and Ustream and I'm getting there. Thanks, Tara, for reminding me. But yes, we need to arrange it with Ustream and Wild Earth, and we can't just change times from one day to the next. So just to pre-warn you that very soon we're going to have to be going out a little bit later. Getting a little bit of resistance about going out earlier, but we are going to have to get there. I mean, summer is going to be beautiful. 5:30 in the morning, waking up at 4. True. 2 against 1. 2 against 1. But okay, we're going to be changing time soon, and that is because 3:30 in the afternoon. First of all, it's still quite hot. Well, it's a nice time for elephants to be having mud baths. If all the dams were filled with elephants having mud baths. But we're going to be going out at 4 soon, and we're going to be coming back at 7. But it's not going to be immediate because it's not something we can do. And the next 2 days, times are going to be a little bit different because we have extracurricular activities, for want of a better phrase. Thought I'd just come to this side of the dam because if we go that way, then we're going to be looking into this bright sunshine, and we just have a quick look at hippos. There's baby. There is a baby there. It's just popped its head up where the hammerkop was, and it's gone back down again. Oops. Oh, well, I can't use hammerkop today, obviously. There's little one. Yeah, how about the birds on the hippos? How are they going? Still one. Gone. Lots of these reptiles out this afternoon, but I really don't think we could get to specifics. I'd say they're both species out, but okay, let's go. It's quite a young hippo, and it's suckling at the moment because every now and then its head comes up for air and it goes back under. And if it wasn't suckling, it would be just resting its head on mom, not having to go underwater. It would be able to either rest its head on her shoulder or her snout or something. Where she's lying is that little, an island is going to appear there. There's sort of this mound of sand, or this mound that is, when there's water, it's a little bit shallower there at that little point. There's a view of a couple of these reptiles sitting on a log. Pointed snouts. And I couldn't even tell you whether the one in front is a younger member of the, or rather a younger individual of the same species as the big one at the back, or whether it's a different species. It's kind of hard to tell. I need to bring my tortoise book. Thanks, Tara, but just unless you've got the one, well, I suppose the one in front is flatter, so the one in front could be the one and the one at the back could be the other. But it's a juvenile, so it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. I'm going to let Henry go ahead. Yeah. Thanks, Patty. Patty in New Jersey. First one back with a tree squirrel for my first animal of the day. Requesting an ID to tick it off the list. Sorry, I suppose Henry's trying to call me on the radio. RC came back with Harmacorp, but I wasn't really intending on having the Harmacorp as one of the, so I can't really put it in because I'm not sure if I said Harmacorp, because I wasn't really thinking of putting it on my list for today. Okay, that was one. Thanks for RC and Raisa and Dr. Rita. Oh, Lee and Dr. Rita. With the Red Bull oxpeckers, those were on the hippos. Those I wanted to tick off for the list today. Because there are times when we're sitting like this and there are a number of things around, we might as well just... I suppose in a way it's a case of getting them over and done with. Because this is not something we want to resolve overnight. The whole point of what we're doing is to see what we see over a period of time, and in the process have a bit of fun while we're doing it. Recording what we're seeing, and this is a way to record it, because I think for all three of us, if we see something that we know is not going to be seen very often, we're definitely going to include it when we see it, like Tara did with the fish eagle the other day and the African spoonbill. We might not see it again for the rest of the month, in which case, well, anyway. Oh, I see a netwing beetle. The netwing beetles are out. The other thing I want to look at is that bird over there on the other bank. It's another one I just want to add to my list this afternoon. Give you something to do. Email me an answer. Like you need something to do other than watch the drives. Don't know if we can... Yeah, I think it's a good enough. I'm sure our bird is...
Yeah, thanks. What's your route plan to get to Tortuga?
A lot of the things that we see on a daily basis we can sort of save for that last 2 or 3 days rush when we're trying to make up numbers. Oh, there's baby hippo resting on the other one's back. Whether, I don't know if that's mom. Might give us an idea of it's deceiving with the water being blown by the wind. But that little hippo is probably at least a month or two old, I think. It's not a new one. Possibly born on one of the other properties. Oh, what? Oh, thanks, RC was just asking what was on the waterhole camera, or I was, and Harmokop was the answer. Thanks, RC. Marsh stroke Cape Terrapin, unanimous decision. Thank you, Leela, Patty, and Lee Criswell, and Diane. Now, there's another terrapin next to the water up ahead, but there's, more importantly, there's a bird that we try and catch so often if it doesn't fly away. Oh, there, that one, yes, I need that reptile too. But I need that bird that's fortunately not flown across the dam. Thanks, Seb. Tara and I had really an interesting moment with these reptiles the other day. We were coming across the dam wall, and it was after drive. We had shut down and we were on our way back. Maybe you caught us on the camera. I'm just looking at the camera, pointing at the camera. I don't know if any the zoomies are there. Oh, look at that baby hippo trying to climb up on mom's back. Anyways, we stopped. I saw this brand new hatchling of this reptile, and it was sunning itself on a log, and it was only when I looked at that that I noticed another slightly older juvenile, maybe about a year or two old, and the next minute another one came out of the water which was the same age as the older one, and they had this little fight, and the older and the two of them dove into the water, and one swam underwater to get away and the other one ended up swimming around looking for it. Just incredible, just different behavior out of them. I'm sure this is one of the ones. This is one of the older ones that was one of the fighters. But there's a youngster, which means that there must be more, that looks like a hatchling. It's only about 6 inches, 8 inches long. This one's about 2 feet long. And it's a relative of the famous Komodo dragon. It's kind of a miniature version. Andiamo. And they are quite incredible predators, these reptiles. I just want to move forward a bit so we can see that bird, and that bird is going to be number, I don't know how many I've asked for this afternoon. But if somebody sends it in, I can tick it off. Yes, I did. The water thickening, who gave me that? Thanks, Lynn in Canada. Glynis in Cape Town. How's it, Glynis? How's Cape Town today? And MJ as well. Came back with a water thickney. That's that other one on the edge of the water, but now there's this one on the edge of the water that is maybe going to prove a little bit of a challenge. So are we calling it a challenge? There are easy ones to ID, but there are going to be these ones that I'm hoping are going to be a little bit of a challenge, not only for you but for us as well. And this is the point of the whole thing, is to find something we haven't seen before, or something we haven't seen very often, but to take note of all the things that we do see all the time. And in doing this over a 30-day period, kind of ensures that if it's a vagrant and it just happens to be passing through and it's a good time of the year for something to be passing through, that we can record it as, or rather not only record it but also include it in the list of creatures that have visited Djuma Game Reserve. That's, yeah. Yeah, Becky in Texas sent an answer, but it's not very specific because there are 2 different species of that reptile, so I need a little bit more specifics than just generic. Let's move on. Oh wait, it's hunting. Never mind. I was about to catch something and I think I disturbed it, but we'll just leave that bird on the edge of the water. There are a couple of people that have sent in answers, and Lynn and Mud. Lynn in Canada, Mud and Lee. What was their answer? Mud is MJ. Oh, we're still on the monitor. Okay, water monitor. RC as well. Water monitor. Okay, I would have preferred Nile monitor. Water monitor is good. Works. Oh, Nile. Okay, RC said Nile. I'll take that. Hello Roy, why does the damn water have a clear green hue? Actually it's not a clear green, it's quite opaque. And it is algae, Roy, it's one of the blue-green algae. JJ, thanks JJ. JJ got, well Lee also did, but JJ got it first I think. Green-backed heron. Ellie in Florida. Hello Ellie. I know an Ellie. I mean not an elephant, I know lots of Ellies, but they're elephant Ellies, but I know a human Ellie. Very special person who lives in Johannesburg. Ellie in Florida. How much time do hippos spend in the water? Normally, mostly the whole day, Ellie. Hippos are nocturnal. They're nocturnal. Their feeding habits are nocturnal because they don't necessarily sleep all the time. You know, herbivores, even those that are non-ruminants, don't really sleep for long periods of time. But hippos do. They sleep quite a lot during the day, and the reason why they live in the water is because it keeps them out of the sun, keeps them cool. They've lived in the water for so long that their skins are fairly sensitive, and of course they've adapted to the aquatic environment. So living in the water is almost a necessity now, not so much a preference. Wow, there's a beautiful bird that just landed on the road. And I hope we can... Oh, it's taken off again. And during the night they tend to come out and find their grazing because they don't... There's not... Well, there isn't any vegetation in the water that they can eat. Not here at any rate. Maybe there is in some places like the Okavango Delta, places where there's permanent water that is naturally occurring. Here, these artificial man-made dams, there's very little in the way of vegetation for them to eat in the water. and they are predominantly grazers, which means that they eat grass. They come out of the water at night and they move over fairly large areas, or they cover a fair amount of ground at night to be able to take in as much grazing as possible. Nearly caught that netwing beetle. Catch another one. That's almost, you could almost say that all day they spend in the water, and there are places that I've lived where even in the middle of summer or in the middle of the dry season, on permanent waters and rivers, you'll even find hippos out during the middle of the day. It's not a hard and fast rule that they're in the water. They don't have to stay there. They just prefer it. And sometimes hippos come out during the day and they do a bit of grazing, maybe because they get hungry. I tend to think from the places... Excuse me a second. You get that message about cleaning the lens?
No.
Just going to clean the lens quickly. So I think I pretty much covered that hippo question. I that because we're going to seriously haven't since Gary Cutline. We haven't had a picture. We're back again. Okay, we're on top of a rise now. We should have the clearest signal ever. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to just do something quickly because I've got to straighten that antenna. It's leaning over to the side.
Is it gone?
Huh? No, but it's choppy. And I know from being with Pete, when this thing is not 100% 90 degrees, then it drops the... That's why this thing's not. It's just that because it's linear, when the aerial's leaning, the signal is going that way. So if the more direct, the more upright it is, the stronger the signal. Is that too... Just the decibel level is just more consistent when it's 90 degrees. Things I learned from Pete and his computer. Hopefully. Excuse me. Okay, where were we? Well, we're on Buffelshoek Cutline. We're going to go to Buffelshoek Dam, pop in there, want to look around at northeast. I'm heading north and east because it was a fantastic sighting of wild dog this morning, much further east to where we are. It's a pack of dogs that haven't been here for quite some time. I don't even being here during summer. I think it was mostly dry season last year that we lost. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's the heat and she just had a baby. I don't know where, but she's just had a baby. So she's not pregnant anymore. She's alone. Huh? Yeah, but she's still separate from them. She going across? Yeah. Maybe not then. So she's not a youngster, and she's not very, very big and round like the other females. No, there was an impala, sorry, I jumped to a conclusion there. There was an impala all on her own here on the short grass open area, or the short grass area on the right, the area we call the fire break. And I guess she attracted my attention. I didn't see a few more females on the left, and I just thought, impala female on her own, she didn't look very round. I thought, oh, she must have just had a baby because she was on her own, and well, there were other females, but she still didn't look pregnant. She wasn't on her own. She was just on this side of the road and they were on that side of the road. But I'm expecting that any day now. Any day now. Let's see what Buffelshoek Dam has to offer. Other than the air. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it is a very hot day. Maybe that's affecting things. Because we've had a number of drives. Hmm? Purples of cut line or down here? Because we've had some drives that have been relatively breakup free, except for being up on triple where normally we would. If there's signal related, we're going to be.
Hi everybody, this is Time Final Control, and I'm not too sure why we're getting so much signal breakup this afternoon. We are in a fairly decent signal area, but do stay with us. I'm just going to wait until we get a nice steady picture from Mark, and then we'll switch back over to the Gunda. So do bear with us, hopefully we won't be too long.
One of the consequences of summer coming and the trees becoming full of their leaves is that our microwave signal is dispersed by the vegetation and the moisture and everything else in the air. So we are having new signal issues in different places. Or signal issues in different places. Well, just have to bear with it. We had a squirrel shouting, so I came up to here to have a look. Ended up looking at the squirrel and getting black spots in front of my eyes from glancing at the sun. But let's go back to the dam. Saja, that's a new name. Where are you from? And I don't know, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Saja, is it in silent J as in Spanish? Saja. How far do elephants travel in the dry season? Well, to find water. Funnily enough, here in the Kruger National Park, they don't have to go very far because there are several rivers. The Kruger National Park is a very long national park, north to south, and throughout that distance, there are several rivers that run east to west that bisect or dissect, not bisect or dissect, because there's only not, that split the park into several portions. And the elephants are never that far from the rivers, but even so, despite the rivers, there are also a number of man-made water points dotted throughout the park and throughout the private reserves. I'm going to pause here because I think we might lose you might lose me going through this dip. Oh, now that's So in terms of how far they travel, there's some parts of southern Africa, like in Botswana for example, where they really do have to cover a lot of ground. In places like Maryland, they have to cover a lot of ground. I mean, elephants will travel miles every day to get to water, between grazing and water, or rather between their Oh, giraffe. 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 Who, the giraffe in Finland? Couple of giraffe. Has a female, there's a big giraffe. Bull, couple of more. Two more giraffe in the background. Looks like a couple of boys that might be trying to have a bit of an argument. Hello, Mrs. G. Very narrow horns, black tufts of hair at the top of the horns. You don't need to see the whole animal to tell that it's a lady giraffe. Oh, there's some bulls down the bottom that are on the... There's one that is being obstreperous. There are another 3 giraffe in the drainage line, by the way. And what I'm going to do now, as soon as we watched her for a little bit, we'll go down next to the water and we'll look up this little dogleg, and maybe we'll see them. They might be drinking or might be visible from down the bottom. But adult female giraffe, she's a very old girl actually, she's quite dark. She's lactating too by the looks of things. Very heavily with milk. Their boy is posturing at the bottom. A couple of bulls that are being bullish. Boys that are being boisterous. This is an old lady. Okay, let's try and see if we can see these bulls. She's quite relaxed with us. We might come back to her. Passager, thank you, and I hope I pronounced it right. Passager is in Finland. Nice to meet you. I don't know if I was finished either. Oof. Talking about elephants finding water. Yeah, I think it depends where it is. The elephant need to travel long distances to find water or not. There's an interesting little bird we can get from our list while we're on our way down here. To the top end of the dam. I can't see those bulls from here. No, they were here and they've gone out to the other side. Very special little bird. Gorgeous little thing. Open their mouth, hippo. No, it was half-hearted. Could do better than that. Pleased to say that all 7 goslings are happily swimming around. Now that we've got goslings here at Buffelshoek Dam, We're going to be watching them grow up and hope that every time we come by we're going to be counting to see all 7 of them are here. Hello Donna, South Carolina. Why is the flower called Impala lily? Why is a raven like a writing desk? Okay, sorry, that was inappropriate because I don't know the answer to that one. I have to be honest, I don't know. Maybe I can find it in my Anita Fabian book. She normally gives the derivation of the names of flowers. Or I might find it in Margaret Roberts. No, Margaret Roberts won't have it in her book. Maybe I'll find it in my... Maybe I'll find it somehow. Somewhere I'll find it for you. But offhand, I don't know why it is called an Impala lily. Because there's also a kudu lily. This is kind of similar, but it has thorns on it, and it has a pure white flower that is very similar in shape. Oh, I didn't see you. There's a bateleur sitting in this tree right ahead of us. And juvenile bateleur, actually. Ed came back with the right answer. We're talking about the little plover in front of me. The 3-banded plover. Thanks, Ed. That is a sub-adult. There's actually a difference between juveniles and sub-adults. And that is what I would term a sub-adult bateleur. It is... Oh, look. You horrible starling, you. Leave the poor child alone. I've got a mind to stop you from mauling it. There's a rain frog. There's a very special little frog that the starling has got. Leave it alone. I wish I could interfere. It's puffing itself up, and these poor frogs don't have much of legs. They can't really hop. They can't really do much, these little frogs. It's called a rain frog, and I'm telling you now, because one of these days I'm going to see one, and I'm going to ask you what it is, because I want to tick it off of my list. But the poor child is being mauled by Birchall's glossy starling. It's puffing itself up, and as you can see, that the blows of the starling are not really very effective. It is giving off a very sticky substance, and if we get a chance to see, the starling's beak is becoming caked in this sticky substance and slime, and it's picking up bits of grass and sand, and hopefully that can discourage the starling. The frog, by puffing itself up and exuding the substance as a defense, there's a good chance that it might discourage the starling after a while, because maybe after all the amount of energy the starling has to go through to get to the meaty bits of the frog might be worthwhile. Unfortunately, we saw a hornbill taking one of those once, one of our first rains about a month ago or so, and well, the hornbill eventually won. It's not like the starling will go hungry if it doesn't eat it. And well, maybe by puffing its body up, it acts as almost like an airbag, and it prevents any serious damage. The beak isn't penetrating the frog at the moment. Poor child's going to be bruised black and blue if it doesn't get eaten. Gone into a giving up way too much effort for the amount of reward it's going to get. It's now got to go and find somewhere to clean its beak. Probably this log. It'll probably wipe, or maybe not. Why are you coming to me? Don't look at me. Don't. Excuse me. What do you want from me? I wish you could put that camera over the side. Its face is covered in the slimy stuff. It's right here at my feet. My tire turned over a log. In fact, if you could, Seb, it'd be interesting if it doesn't fly away. But as I drove down here, my tire turned over a log, and there are termites underneath, and the Starling is rewarding itself for its efforts by eating a few termites. Its face and feathers are covered in the slime from the frog, and I actually want to go and find that frog now so that I can show you. The Starling's mate is at the water in front of me, but I mean, this Starling is literally right here at my door. Lots of termites for you. You can fill up on termites, you actually get more termites than you would have gotten meat out of that frog. But you can come back for the termites, because I want to go find my frog now. Make sure that it's uninjured, otherwise I've got to send it to Frog Hospital. Can you imagine this poor little frog's going to walk around on crutches and splints in its legs? Only I don't know where it left the frog. Well, I'm sure I could find it. Yummy termites. They're like a dime a dozen. Frogs, they like gold. Leave the frogs alone. Sorry, child. Come back to your termite. I want your frog. Remember where it was?
I think it's exactly in front of you. 1.5 meters in front of you. Yeah, there. To your right. Yeah. Straight in front of you, I think. No? What's that thing there?
Yeah.
No? Next to it?
Yeah.
No? On the other side? There. That. Ah, I thought that was the frog.
I should have kept my eye on it. Somehow I remember it was upstairs somewhere. Okay, well, everything does. Let me climb in. Everything has a happy ending, and it's still in defensive mode. I'm now suddenly not sure whether it's one of the pixies or whether it is actually one of the rain frogs, because its legs are way too long to be a rain frog. The rain frogs don't have such long back legs. They've got tiny little black back legs. So I actually think it's a pixie, and I think the pixies are actually related to the bullfrogs, if I'm not mistaken. Let me put my earpiece in case Tara's trying to talk to me. Okay, I've washed it off, and I put enough water on my hands that there's nothing on my hands that should damage the frog. Otherwise I would normally wear gloves. Its skin is damaged. I mean, its skin is scratched a little bit from the beak of that bird. But it's still bloated. It's still full of air. It is definitely alive. It's very much alive. I've had a look at all 4 limbs. None of its limbs are broken. I'm trying to see. I'll try and just tip it over, and she doesn't want to be. This goes to show how resilient some creatures are in nature. Come here, child. I want to just check your toes on the foot are a little bit pink. Fingers. So it did sustain a little bit of injury, a little bit of bruising, but overall it's going to survive, and it'll probably breed and it'll recover. Perfect example of how, if something provides enough of a defense, if something provides enough of a challenge to a predator, then the predator will reach a point where the energy output in trying to get to the creature is just not worth it, because there's not going to be enough energy coming back in. And well, the starling gave up. And I'm going to find a little spot for this child, probably here in the long grass on the edge of this open area close to the water. This is not an aquatic frog. This is a frog that in the dry season lives under the sand. I was hoping that it would relax, but I think being pecked the way it was by that starling, beautiful little thing, pixie, not a rain frog, I'm sure. I'm just going to put it here in the grass where this log is, and it should be protected. Let's get some water. Put some water over it. A bit of moist substrate to work on for the time being while it's recovering and getting out of that defensive mode. See, don't have to see big and hairy and tooth and claw to be interesting. Meanwhile, the giraffe had disappeared. Hippo didn't object too much to me playing in their water. And well, the starling can come back and get some of its termites. Trouble. But I didn't interfere. You see, you don't interfere all the time. Well, don't interfere, period. Things can go after themselves. It looked shocking when that starling was mauling it. Hello, Dorothy. In Canada. Said goodbye to Canada today. Fabienne left to go back to Joburg, and she'll be flying back to Canada soon. But Dorothy wants to know if anything goes into hibernation like the bears do. No, Dorothy, we don't ever get cold temperatures here. Well, I mean, it's cold for those of us warm-blooded, or rather cold-blooded. Those of us reptilian-blooded creatures that find anything under 50 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing. But we don't get snow and ice, and there's always food all year round. There are always things happening. So most creatures might go into a period of dormancy for a while, but it's not hibernation. It's not full hibernation the way bears do. Nothing in Africa, to my knowledge, goes into a full hibernation, unless we're talking about maybe lungfish, catfish, terrapins that tend to become dormant in the dry season. But it's more like what we call estivation rather than hibernation. So I don't know, I might have broken up there. Just saying that I think we would term it estivation rather than hibernation for the animals that become dormant for periods of time in the dry season. But I don't think we could call it winter. We just look at it as the dry season and the wet season. Temperatures get cold, chilly, but not so cold that the world shuts down. There, the goslings. Did we see the goslings earlier?
That's gonna be a better shot.
It's gonna be a much nicer shot. The light is so much nicer on them now. Egyptian geese, goslings. Six and 7, 8. Am I right? 6, 7, yes. 5, 6, 7. I wondered how. Where am I getting 8 from? 1, 2, 3, 4, and those 3, 7. Which one? No, I've already said Egyptian geese. Sorry, Mary Jane in Florida. I'm not. I was reading the list. I'm looking for the pixie on the list. There are all sorts of other frogs on the list, but not the pixie. And I'll have to find another name for it that obviously I don't know. But Mary Jane asking about the trees. Just trying to repeat that for me, please, Tara. Mary Jane. Interesting shapes to the trees. Is it natural or caused by animals? Yes, both. Every single species of tree, Mary Jane, has a shape to it. If trees were to allow to grow without ever being cut, without ever being eaten by anything, without ever being touched, and that's why sometimes in forests, when you look at a forest of pine trees or a grove of oak trees or where you've got a number of trees and you don't have animals that are impacting on their growth patterns, although each tree will be as distinct as the different stripes on a zebra or the different spots on a leopard, the different lines on our fingers that make up our fingerprints, every single tree, although they have a growth pattern unique to them, very much like as an adult zebra or as an adult human, we all have the general same shape and the general the same general look about us, but we're all individuals. Trees are exactly the same. So when we look at a knobthorn tree, for example, there is always this general shape to a knobthorn tree. Let's look at them. There is this one here. As we go along, there's that knobthorn, not necessarily a straight trunk, but a single trunk, generally a single trunk, a crown at the top. There's another knobthorn further on, although it has a branch coming out at the bottom that might get broken by elephants. But there's another big knobthorn over there. The marulas all have every single tree species has a general shape. However, nowhere else on the planet are there animals that have so much of an impact on the life and the growth of a tree as they do in Africa. And it's here in Africa, especially with the likes of the large mammals, giraffe and elephant, because believe it or not, even giraffe can modify the shape of a tree because they do break branches. The trees end up with very, very strange and wonderful shapes. If we have a look up ahead, we're on the top of a rise. It's much drier than down in the dips and other areas where this is exposed to wind and obviously desiccation more than places where it's sheltered. So the marula trees up here haven't got their leaves yet as much as the marula trees have down on, say, open area near camp. Just by the way, this is another knobthorn, still getting its leaves. But as we crest this rise, we're going to be seeing a lot of these marula trees. And the marula trees also have their unique shape about them. Really beautiful thick trunks. Here's one on the left, this one over here. No, this way. Yeah, that one. We're just going past now. Beautiful thick trunk and beautiful big crown. The marula trees, they almost stand out because they're such a unique shape. But now, added to this whole concept of how they grow and the shapes of the trees, one has to take into account the climate that the trees grow in. Here it's very hot and very dry. We don't ever get snow. So the trees don't have to deal with the weight of snow on their branches as they do, as the pine trees and some of the firs and things that you have in the northern hemisphere. They all grow with a very sharp point to be able to shed snow during the winter. For the trees of Africa, it's a different story. And one of the reasons why a lot of trees here in Africa develop these very broad crowns, because first of all, they've got to harvest as much sunlight as they can, and in the process, they've also got to harvest as much water as they can, because they don't know where their next water is coming from. And even the little bit of dew and moisture in the air when the night cools down is good enough. So the larger the crown, the more water the tree can absorb. And at the same time, if it was to have very large leaves, it would lose too much water. So instead of having these large leaves that are exposed to the hot, dry sun, a lot of these trees have either small, simple leaves, or they have small compound leaves, leaflets that are so small that they form compound leaves. It's a leaf that basically, it's like having one big solar panel as opposed to lots of small solar panels, and that's what a compound leaf is. It's lots of small solar panels all joined together to perform the same function, really, as one big one. Perhaps I can find some individual trees, that have been modified by elephants and that have grown into particular shapes, intriguing shapes. But generally they still retain the genetic imprint of what that tree is. And you could draw a silhouette of different trees and say, that is the general sort of shape of that species of tree. Much the same as you can with pines and firs and elms and oaks, the northern hemisphere trees. Hello, Fran. Welcome to our drive. Fran wants to know if there are crocodiles in in the water holes. Not at the moment, Fran, and I'm hoping that come summertime, come the rains, when it starts raining heavily, I'm hoping that some of the crocodiles that we've had this past summer might come back. You see that? Aspersus. Pixie-cephalus aspersus. Yeah, I think so, Lynn. I think the pixies are... it is a shortening of the generic, the genus. Pixie-cephalus. Tiny little triangular head. But am I right? Is that a pixie? I must look at my frog book. I know it's definitely not a rain frog. And the rain frog is very similar. But they just don't have jumping legs at the back the way the pixies do. Oh, okay. No, they're small pixies. But RC's saying it might be one of the rain frogs. I must check. I still think it's one of the pixies. The small pixies. I know the big pixie cephalus, the big one. No, that's bufo. The big bullfrog is bufo. No, bufo is the toad. Bufos are the toads. I don't have a frog book. Sorry, Pixie-cephalus is the bullfrog, so I'm wrong, Lynn. No. I don't know. I need my frog book. I didn't bring a frog book. So maybe the pixies... Just do a Google search for me quickly with a pixie and tell me what their genus is. I know they're related to the bullfrogs. Pixie. Okay, only coming up with the bullfrogs. Okay, have you got the Carruthers? Or the Wagner? I guess Tara's talking about Vincent Carruthers' frog book. There are two frog fundies. One of them is Vincent Carruthers. Another one I think is Vincent Wagner. I think it's Vincent. But I've got both. I've got the old Carruthers and I've got the old Wagner from the 80s. I see there is a new book on frogs. That's the one that Tara might have. That incorporate well. Carruthers was one of them. But if you talk about a frog expert, Carruthers, Vincent Carruthers comes to mind. Like Martin Fulmer does with spiders. Like Jonathan Kingdon does with mammals. And the likes of Kenneth Newman and Ian Sinclair and others et al. With birds. The Van Wyks, Piet Van Wyk and Bram Van Wyk with trees, and they're not related. Experts in their field. Cheetah cut line heading south. I'm here because just east of us, on the other side of Torchwood, is a pack of wild dogs. And I know they're going to be running this way. And it's going to be up to Tara to find them tomorrow, because I'm not going to see them today, but I reckon they'll be here tomorrow, or maybe the next day for Seb. Now, speaking of tomorrow and Monday, and times, they are changing. We're going to be changing times soon, but not immediately. But tomorrow we're going to shorten our drive. We're going to shorten our drive a little bit because we're having a fireside chat. And we've got something really special planned for Monday evening. And in order to bring it to you on Monday evening, we're going to cut our drive short on Monday evening. as well. Or, as some of others say, as well. As well. Another tree with a very distinct shape, in fact there are two of them I can show you, and that is the torchwood, Balanites aegypticus. And there's another one, let me just go back a little bit. I know it just looks like a tree, but when you get to know these children, they stand out like a sword. You can see them a mile off, but there we go in the distance. There's another beautiful big specimen, and that is on the property torchwood, and that is a torchwood. Look at it from a distance, you can see that. The big one on the right that we just gone past, that was a marula. Still getting its leaves, but it's a different shape entirely. The thing about the torchwood is that it is a very, very hardy tree. And its crown is always browsed at sort of maximum giraffe height, which is why it almost looks like it's been pruned underneath. And sometimes you can get these really big torchwoods that have a very big crown, but if you had to imagine the tallest giraffe that you could find and have him stretch and eat those leaves and eat every one of them, that's how high the browse level would be on that tree, and it's like neatly trimmed where the tallest giraffe can reach, or elephant for that matter. After all, it's about the same height that the big elephant can stretch with his trunk, and maybe a little bit higher if he jumps up with his front legs, stands on his back legs, a bit higher than the tallest giraffe. But a lot of that is only when these trees are adult, and some of them can take a couple of 100 years to reach maturity. And here's a torchwood, got to be 100 years old already, but it hasn't reached that shape yet. It's still got all these lower branches, that one, all these lower branches, and it just looks like a long thin column. Well, that just kind of ties in with the question from Sweden. Hello, Peter, in Sweden. Whereabout are you in Sweden? How old are the oldest trees? Well, the oldest trees that I know of here in the Sabi Sand are some of the leadwoods. I'm sure there's some very big jackalberries that are between 800 and 1,000 years old, but there are some leadwoods here in Manyaleti. There are some magnificent leadwoods in Manyaleti that have got to be well over 1,000, 1,500 years old. Things grow very, very slowly here. It's not a very high rainfall area, and in fact, though in the Sabi Sand the rainfall is a lot higher than back at home where I am, and I would say that a tree that takes 200 years to reach maturity here will take 300 years to reach maturity where I live. Hello, children. Small bachelor group of impala. Okay, I think you can go ahead.
What's that on the road over there?
A leopard. A leopard. Bet you that's a leopard.
Oh, it's a tree.
Yeah. Leopard shaped log. A mottled shovel-nosed frog. Well, it was a nice spot, Tara. That's like perfect leopard. Look at that. Look.
I'm not Tara.
Yeah. Look, you can't even see it so far down the road, but it was something that looked like it could have been something. Something that looks like it could have been something.
I'm Sebastian, by the way. She's got me Tara.
Mottled shovel-nosed frog. Well, there we go. It's not a pixie. There, I thought it was a pixie. Have you got any pixies in your frog book that are not bullfrogs, Tara? all bullfrogs. Okay, somewhere my brain's not thinking straight then, but I'm sure there are pixies. I was certain there were pixies that are tiny little frogs, and I hope it doesn't. Marmoratum. Marmoratum. No, with an M or an S at the end. I remember Marmoratum. Oh, it's Marmoratus. Okay. Hemisis Marmoratus. Okay, that's what it is. Mottled shovel-nosed frog. I would like to add it to the list. Only not to my total of, not to my total. So you can maybe add it, put it on the list, tick it off, because the chances of seeing another one are remote. But by all means, somehow highlight or put it, because I think it is on that frog list, amphibian list. And I'm going to have to get back to all of you why I thought it was a pixie, and why I thought there were small frogs called pixies, because my book says so. That must be the Vincent Wagner book, obviously not the Carruthers. Tara, have you got a Carruthers? Okay, yeah, Tara's got the Carruthers. My radio's been down all afternoon. Let's see what's happening. Actually, it hasn't. I think it's just been quiet. No, it's been on the channel. Afternoon stations, radio's been down. Can I get an update, please? Dust in the air. Some guys really love their voice on the radio. Quite finished now. Ephraim, come in. Anything on Western Gary today? Copy, thanks. None low. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. Tandy and her child have a kill somewhere on Cheetah Plains. It's quite far east. We'll just have to make our way west. Go and find the children and see if Karula's going to come back for them. Any news on them, Dutch? Oh, sorry, Andrew, go again.
Heading west along Starling. They are going to Central Driveway now.
Okay, copy, thanks.
Anything else?
Okay, we're not going to go west just yet. We're going to stay here because we're going to see what's going to come down this road coming from the east. At the moment, Chitwa entrance is still a little bit further on, but those dogs are coming. One of the reasons why I've sort of dawdled all the way up here is because I've had this feeling about these. They made an appearance in the east, and they do have a tendency to come this way. They haven't been this way for a while. Where there was a vehicle on the road. We go past the old hyena, then just do a little loop here, and unfortunately we can't see over this ridge just behind us. Well, I don't see why not. I mean, it's the main road. Why can't we drive on a main road just to the top of that ridge? It's not in Torchwood. It's not in this.
Because we lose signal. So
No, it's the top of the ridge.
let's go.
Shouldn't be any reason why we can't go. It's the main road. Okay, dogs are running. Dogs are heading this way. We'll just fiddle around for the next few minutes. This here old hyena den. Oh, you know, I always find flowers for the ladies. I don't know if you've ever seen me finding a flower for the guys, but here's a flower for the guys. Lovely reddish color. Red and brown. Every now and then I find a rusty old bolt or something. Nuts and bolts. Sorry, in the way. Here we go. Oh, somebody's car is a little bit worse off. At least I know it doesn't come off a Land Rover, because Land Rover doesn't have anything that looks like this. But I think that's been lying in the road for a long time. Whoops. Artifacts. Artifacts from early hominids. Henry, come in. There's a bird we can use for my checklist challenge. Just in the grasses. While we're waiting for dogs to run this way. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't have even said that. Don't know if it's going to be disqualified now. Doe. What? Yep. Oh, dope, as in Homer Simpson. No, we haven't seen an animal yet. It's only when we see it if I say the name. Hello, Sharon. In Florida? Tampa, Florida. Interesting question. Because Sharon's got a visitor on her patio who sings to her, serenades her when she waters her plants. It's a frog with only one functioning leg. Okay, you should see enough of those little birds to identify them. Sharon, I think that frog ought to be fine. You know what you can do? You can go to a pet shop and you can buy some crickets or worms or something. I'm sure they must have food for pet reptiles and amphibians. And then if you give it something to eat every now and then, it'll probably be grateful. It should be able to survive, even if it doesn't hop around, because it'll probably be able to still find insects.
On the double right.
Sorry, Tara, what was that? Hello, Brenda. Question of concern concerning the duck, the goslings. There's some dwarf mongoose around here too. But what I want to show you here, the old hyena. What?
Huge rock monitor.
Oh, you said it.
Well, they didn't hear.
Maybe nobody heard you.
No.
There's also a flower here that I want to show the ladies and the guys that are interested in flowers. But Seb saw something that he wants to show you. Oh, look at that, walking through the grass. Wow. Dun 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 dun, a dragon. Dun 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 dun. Patrolling. I wonder if the birds are shouting at it. Here we go. What is that? A marauding monster. Something is living in this den because there are no spider webs. There's no, that hole in the den is pretty well used. Wow, that is a big individual of this. Thank you, Joanne in Arizona, for Crested Franklin. Oh, the mongoose is starting to shout at it. Dwarf mongoose. It'll probably eat the young dwarf mongoose, going straight into that hole, or inspecting. Focus ball. Look at those claws. Andrew, come in. How far are you from Cheetah Cutline?
I'm not with them at Dutch. I left them earlier on.
Any station with my Dutch?
Things are there 3 months. 3. Okay, copy.
Afternoon, guys. Any station with my Dutch?
Sorry, what's happening there now, brother? Okay, how many stations still unlocking? Copy.
Sorry, guys. Which station with my Dutch and how many and where?
At the moment there's 2 stations unlocked. There's 2 standby surge available. City Madash, they are between, I think they're closer to one-eyed tanning lily on Gary Main.
Copy then. How far is that from Cheetah Cut line?
So I'm not sure. We're focused on the mark of it.
Yeah, go. I didn't copy, go again. Thanks, Ryan. Are they mobile?
They're slightly mobile west. They look like they want to go north, so, but they have covered quite a bit of ground in the last bit, so they might be heading that way. I think there's 18 in total, 18 or 19.
Okay, copied, thanks.
Yeah, well, that's what I've got.
Flower?
Hello. Where did you pick City out of? What you guys anyone?
Yes. Some of these guards, unbelievable. Wow. 3 vehicles with them, 2 vehicles on standby, but they're still far east of us. I'm hoping that they're going to run a little bit north into Torchwood and then come our way, because then they'll be ours. Because we're not going to get a chance to see them if we stick around here on Gary Main, because there are so many vehicles that are, I suppose, in a way tailing them. But they're still in the Mulwanini, and it's still a little bit further east from us. And the third vehicle has just gone in their direction, has just passed us on Gary Main, so we're gonna be very lucky to see them. Sorry, Tara, what was that third? What? Oh, okay, thanks. Jennifer, rock monitor. Mike Moss saying white-throated monitor. I'll take both answers. Hello, dwarf mongoose. Escaping the marauding dragon, are you? Doesn't really breathe fire. Don't believe everything your parents tell you. But I wouldn't really want to smell its breath. Maybe that's why they think it's fire. But yes, Mike, you're quite right. And I actually prefer the name white-throated monitor because that's what it is. We don't have any rocks here. It actually lives more in trees than it does on rocks. And its scientific name is Varanus albigularis. And albigularis, directly translated, is white-throated. Albi, referring to white, and gularis, referring to the throat region. But it is also known as a rock monitor or a tree monitor. How's that? One afternoon we've seen both monitor lizards that we get here in southern Africa. There's another monitor that you get further up north. It's called the Savannah monitor. I think you get another monitor in Gabon, actually. Another one in the forests of Gabon, perhaps. Or maybe it's only the 3.
Well, I remember
The
seeing
Savannah.
when I was a kid, like something like what we call in French iguane. Which is
But you would different to a varan.
Yeah. Because I know in Afrikaans you call a varan a liguane.
Yeah.
But in French iguane, and that was
But
different than a monitor, definitely.
It wasn't a pet.
Wasn't it? Pet?
Yeah.
No, it was in the wild.
Because iguanas are sort of otherworldly. Onward ho. Maybe we're going to do a loop around Leadwood Road and come back again. I'm as much as I'm discouraged by the number of vehicles that are following these animals and perhaps the chaos that's coming with it, I'm optimistic that maybe, just maybe, they'll escape to the north of Gari Main, and that will leave them in our hands. So I'm putting it out there. Come children, it's much quieter here. Leave the madness of that main road. Armadillo saying that the plug, the bolt that I found could be Oil pan drain plug. No, definitely not. It cannot be. You see, it's so long. Oil pan drain plugs have got a very broad, they're much bigger, and they are much shorter threaded. Oh, here's a nice flower. I've been waiting to find this flower, and it's the very, 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 very first flower of it. There's one there and there's one there. While I'm talking to you about oil pan drain plugs, they tend to have a copper thread. They tend to have they're much bigger diameter, and the thread is not as long as this. They're only about 1/4 of an inch long, and they have copper washers because they have to seal properly. So I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. This does not look like it could be a drain plug. The fact that it has dual washers on it, big one and a small one, and that the one washer is actually heat shrunk onto the bolt, and the fact that the bolt has a particular, I'd say it comes off of a manifold, an exhaust manifold perhaps. There are not many things that had bolts as manifold attachments, because normally you get a stud, not a bolt. No, not a stud like me, I mean a stud like a bolt. Isn't that pretty? That's just the start of them. Wait until they start flowering fully. Peltiforum africanum, the African wattle coming into flower. I wish I could live in a perpetual spring. I could find flowers every day and insects every day. But winter, dry season has its beauty. The odd little things that you might find. It makes it harder to find them, but they're there to be seen. And in some places, maybe we don't have them in the wild here, the impala lilies. We do at home. I'm lucky enough to find them every now and then in a rocky outcrop when I'm visiting places like Motswari. But we have things like the coral senecio that flowers in the middle of winter. Red-billed hornbills. We saw them this morning and ticked them off. Can you check off dwarf mongoose? You can, but it's not part of my list yet because I haven't asked for an identification as far as I'm aware. If I can remember. Well, I did say the name. No, just... Julia wants to know if we will see the wild dogs. Let me show you where we are. I don't know if any of you are on a map or with us on the map. But this little road that we've got running here in front of us, this is Cheetah Cut Line, and down there as you go towards the end of the road over there, you can see the end of the road in the top, well, the far right of the picture. That's where it meets the road called Gari Main, one of the main roads coming into the reserve. And this little corner that we're in, we've just been in with this rock monitor, this white-throated monitor, and that old hyena den. That, by the way, there's a hyena den where we've seen hyenas and pups. When I first got here 3 years ago, early December, there were pups in that den. And this is the southeastern corner, the very far southeastern corner of Djuma Game Reserve. This is as far southeast as we can go. And just a little bit further east from us, the way we're facing now, just straight ahead of us, by I would say maybe 200 or 300 yards, is a pack of 19 wild dogs. I've said the name, I said it earlier, it's not going to count for my list, unfortunately, because it means I've got to find them again in another 30 days, 28 days, 27 days, that many days, to tick them off for the list. The whole thing about the list is, we do want to make it a bit of a challenge. We don't want to just be ticking things off of a list, otherwise we could drive by things and say, well, there's that ticket off, there's that ticket off, it would be too boring for you. The way we made it so that you can tell us what the names are means that it makes it a little bit harder to tick everything off. But it would be nice that if you found another little column on your list and then you could tick it off separately, that during the process you can still tick off things that are maybe not part of this little challenge that we have amongst ourselves, but that at the end of this period of time we can get some idea of the number of creatures that we can see, birds, amphibians, reptiles and mammals that we are likely to see here at Djuma Game Reserve, and particularly at a time of the year like now when there's a lot happening. So okay, thanks. Bless everybody. RC, I'm not too sure. I think you cut out there a little bit, Tara, but you were saying something about the white-throated and the savannah used to be placed in the same. As far as I know, they're different species now. They're classified as different species. I'm not too sure as far. Which station, Gary? Main Cheetah Cut Line? I don't know who that is. I think I've got something. Oh, I'm on camera. Well, let's drive around a little bit and see. I don't know who that is. Maybe that's Mark. Mark, is that you? Or maybe Mark, is that you? Station Cheetah Cut Line, Gary Main.
My Dutch went north into Torchwood.
Thank you.
Andrew?
They went north into Torchwood, so they picked up my message to go north. But they still will come west. So we got to see. They're going to be here on the top of this ridge. So we can see if they come behind us or if they come ahead of us. I think there's a fairly good chance that they might come this way. It's the time of day when they're going to get active. It's been a very hot day. They have invariably been pretty static most of the day, lying up in the shade. And I would like to be able to see behind us and up ahead of us. So on this little ridge might give us some idea. Is there anyone with those Madach? Okay, thank you, Mark. Are they still moving? Copy that, thank you. Okay, somehow they just made a kill. Probably an impala. Where's that map?
No, he's still in the Wakulus nothing going south. He's still over here. Yeah, still over there.
Yeah, it doesn't have the names on the roads here. So I still don't really know where they are. Pump House Road and some dam. Doesn't say anything about it on this map. Okay, we'll go down onto Drakensberg Drive. We're going to do a bit of a drive. Mark, come in for Mark. Now Mark, I want you to cut line. Just let me know, please, while I'm hanging around the area. Let me know if they start moving west, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, they're stationary up on Torchwood at the moment. I asked for it. What did I ask for? A storm. Ah, a transmission bell housing bolts. Could be. Maybe from a tractor. I mean, let me see. What is the size of this thing? That's got to be a... I'd say it's about a 17. Yep, I'm right. It's a 17. 17 millimeter. What's that in inch in imperial? A 17. 17 mil. Bell housing bolt from a transmission. For a tractor it'll have a 17 mil maybe, not for a pickup. It'll only be about a 13, 14 mil. So half inch or so, or a bit more. And another tree down on the road. Oh, we can see a sunset from here. I hope you don't mind, folks. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm sure we have quite a crowd joining us this afternoon. The fact is, not far off our eastern boundary are some really incredible animals. They are an endangered species. They might be moving this way. And I'd like to sort of just hang around a little bit. I don't want to go too far away, because when they're on the move, they're on the move. And sometimes you just get a fleeting glimpse of them. Especially this time of day, they could be hunting. And when they're hunting, that is all you get, is a fleeting glimpse. So we're heading down Drakensberg Drive. The sun is approaching the escarpment. It is about to hit the mountains. See if we can find a beautiful spot. Without any cloud in the sky, it's not going to be a spectacular sunset. And it's very, very clear skies, so the sun is going to be quite bright. We'd have to close the iris considerably to be able to see it. But it is a sunset nonetheless. It's an African sunset. And I want to thank you for all joining us. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all joining. You know what I mean. Thank you all for joining us. It's lovely Saturday. These beautiful leaves coming out in the silver cluster leaf. It's now when these leaves are fresh that you really get an idea of the silver in the cluster leaf. They're called a cluster leaf because, as you can see, all these leaves are clustered terminally around the ends of the branchlets, and it helps it helps the brain retain the scientific name, the botanical name, Terminalia, because in all the terminalias, which are actually families of the family of the combretums, but they differ in that in the terminalias their leaves are all clustered around the ends of branches. And Sericea, the species name, Sericea refers to the silvery sheen on the leaves, and this is actually quite velvety, the texture of these leaves. And because of that texture and a very high tannin content, this plant doesn't need any physical defense, doesn't need the likes of thorns or spines. And just behind us, just further back, is we can zoom out and see the full specimen of a young tree with its new leaves coming out. And in the right light, they are very silvery, and they're going to be more so as these leaves start getting a little bit bigger. terminalia. Sericea. There are a number of other plants that also have the species name Sericea because they also have a silvery leaf. Not to be confused with those plants that have the surname or the species name Mucronata, referring to a mucronate leaf which tends to be shiny as opposed to silvery. As in Ziziphus mucronata, the buffalo thorn. A very shiny leaf, but not silvery, very green. Julie, Indiana. Not too sure what you mean. Are all the cars driven? Oh, I see. You mean right-hand drive. I thought you meant the side of the road. No, we drive on the right side of the car and the left side of the road. Which Mark, David? I'm Mark David. My name is Mark David. Mark, come in for David. It's like calling myself. But I'm assuming he's talking to Mark from Torchwood, who's with the wild dog. Yes, for a person whose name is Mark David, it sounds funny, somebody calling on the radio, Mark, come in for David. That's my middle name, David. Appropriately named Mark because I was born in April. I'm an Aries and my planet is Mars. Where's that in law? Hey, elephants on Torchwood. I'm assuming Mark from Torchwood.
Yeah, Mark from Torchwood, yes. Wait a minute, are you still there? No, we just left them, they're about 500 meters south of the South Dam Road.
Don't know where that is.
Okay, where are you headed now?
There's an Egyptian goose that's just flown up. There must be a dam not too far from here because the Egyptian goose came from there. Maybe because the wild dog there.
Okay, where are you headed now?
Here's the other goose.
Stopping at Torchwood Dam. So we'll see you there now.
I'm still determined to just amble, just dawdle rather. If we have a chance of seeing these animals, I'm going to dawdle. We just come off of Mumba Road. We'll go back down Central Road and come back again this way. There we now need to find. Try and get to Central Road to see the sunsets. not going to make it to Central Road. I don't know if we can get it through here. It's touching the mountains already. I wanted it in that loop. Just keep it there. Leaves in the way, but still. Without cloud, we'll paint a picture nonetheless. How fast it disappears, especially because there are mountains in front of it. It makes it a little bit faster than if it was the distant horizon, but pop goes the weasel. Good night, sunshine. See you tomorrow. Sunday. Good night. Tomorrow will be Sunday, when the sun comes back again. Calling you? Oh, sunshine. Is that what you mean, car? Okay, I'm slow on the uptake. It was like way over my head. I said good night, sunshine, and then Tara said good night, and I didn't put the two and two together. The one and one together to make the two. You know what I mean. Just not quick enough on the uptake. Not quick enough to get here to Central Road to see the sunset. Is that Steve in Boston? Azarovsky. Hello, Steve. Are you in Boston? Somehow in my mind it's Boston. Steve wants to know from both of us, myself and Seb, which celebrity? What a wonderful question. Which celebrity would we like to have on drive with us? I'm going north, not west. Oh, they're still too far east. We'll find them. Tara's going to have to go look for these dogs tomorrow. Steve, what an interesting question, because so much comes to mind.
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Seb says Nelson Mandela. I've got two friends that have both had Nelson Mandela on their vehicle. One of them is Duncan at Leopard Hills, and the other one is my Shangaan brother William Schlatzweier from White River. He's got his own tour company now called Crown Eagle Tours. But Willie used to work for a lodge that Madiba used to visit, and Willie spent many drives with Madiba. That's a good one.
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. I want Charlize because she's a Benoni girl. We grew up in the same town, and we could talk about Benoni. But I want Ian Player.
Who?
Ian Player.
Ah.
Or Kingsley Holgate.
Yes. Oh yes, I'll love Kingsley Holgate as well.
Or David Attenborough.
Yeah.
I would like also
Sebastian
Sebastian
Rombi?
Rombi. You on my vehicle every day, dude. Who was that? What did I just say now? Richard Dawkins, Desmond Morris. Those are the men. Those are the men that I want them here for their minds. Now, they're the other people like Michelle Pfeiffer, Cameron Diaz,
Sandra Bullock.
Sandy Bullock. Yes, Sandra Bullock, definitely. Oprah to some extent, maybe.
Yeah.
Wangari Maathai, rest in peace. If she was still alive, I would have loved to have spent. Oh, there's another one. Leakey, Richard Leakey. You know, he was booked in. I was managing a camp up in in southeastern Kenya, and Richard and a bunch of people were booked in, and I left the week before they came to the lodge. But I met Richard Leakey when he was here in Joburg giving a lecture once. Daphne Sheldrick.
Scarlett Johnson.
Who?
Scarlett Johnson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johnson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Johansson, sorry.
Scarjo. What's your name? Scarjo. Yeah, maybe.
But I think, yeah, I'll be very honored to have Mandela.
Madiba Mandela. I would be honored to have any one of our viewers on drive with me.
Sure.
No, I don't wear these.
Taras then.
Must be Taras. One of the ponytail gang, not mine. It's a ponytail thing, but it's got one of these little metal things. It's Taras. Okay, it's in the center console. Mine are normally wrapped around. My hair things are normally wrapped around this lever on the steering column. Not the indicator lever, it's the windshield wipers. No, there are a couple of these little clips that are broken, and there's normally one of those little woolen thingies. Okay, I'm really dawdling now. I'm still optimistic that maybe just before dark they might come this way. As we're on Drakensberg Drive and we're going to go back up to the Cheetah Cut Line now, and then we'll make our way north. I don't know if you'll see this. I was talking about the nursery web spider this morning. It's a very intriguing spider. But there's not much of a web, and he doesn't really have the light. I don't know if you can see this huge. I know how I can help you see it though. I'll probably help you see it if I put some light on it. You can see some of the silk blowing in the wind. There's no structure to the web. Let's just try and get, once we get focus on it. There would actually be a tube of silk running down into these long grasses. And it's a very, very huge, very large web. Beautiful long-legged spider. Known as the nursery web spider, related to the fishing spiders, I think. Have you heard anything out of this thing?
No.
Haven't heard a peep. touch wood. Shouldn't have said anything. Next time I'll learn to keep my mouth shut. Ah, such a beautiful time of the year. Temperature's perfect. It's like, it's got to be 75, 80. It's got to be in the mid 20s Celsius. Maybe what's that? 70, in the mid 70s or so. It's just perfect. It could be like this all year round. I'd be a happy person. Whoops. Oh, that's Tara's hole. Tara and Catherine's hole. Cat's hole. I mean, your Kaz's hole. Wait till summer comes, it's going to get deeper. It fills up with water and a warthog wallows in it. Takes away a little bit of mud. Eventually it'll fit a buffalo, and then who knows, one day it'll just swallow up Uganda. There's a good chance we are, as far as moon phases are concerned, excuse me, we are reaching the end of the moon phase. We're getting towards new moon fairly soon. We've just been past last quarter, and we've probably got about another 3 days, maybe halfway between last quarter and new moon. So that means that on a night like tonight, there will only be starlight. The moon will only be rising at 3 o'clock in the morning or something really ridiculous. I'm saying this because this will have some impact on what the wild dog do. You know, if there was a bigger moon, brighter moon, especially with no cloud in the sky, would be a fairly bright night. A good chance with these temperatures that the dogs would still be moving somewhat. Not to be able to try and predict animal behavior, but just guessing what just guessing what they might or might not do. And knowing that what they actually do will be something completely different. But I'm hoping that because it's going to be a fairly dark night with only starlight, they might settle down for the night and only start moving in the morning. And that'll mean coming up Buffels of cut line and the fire break to find them sometime tomorrow morning. They are currently heading north again, and I have to give Henry credit. He he does kind of have it laid out, because what they're doing is pretty much what they've often done in the past. It's almost as though it's a route that they take. They come in from the east, spend a bit of time around Gowrie Main, they head up north towards Buffels of Cutline, and they head west towards Sydney's Dam, and from there they're going to Manuleti, and that's sort of part of their route, I suppose. It's not always exactly the same. We've seen them where they've been killing, going through Nyala Road South and Central Road. We've seen them make several kills there one day, Patrick and I. We've seen them in and out of Buffels of Cutline at Gowrie Cutline Junction. And their tracks were even found on Quarantine, the open area near camp. So although they do stick to the general route, they do branch off from it when they're going hunting. And I'm hoping that they've reached this point now at the end of the day where they're still on Torchwood. And I can only hope that maybe they're going to stay on Torchwood tonight, and tomorrow morning we can come and look for them. Now, I could have gone, we're out on the eastern side, I could have gone sort of way over onto our western boundary. We could have gone to look for Karula's children. I think it's a little late now to do that. We saw them this morning, we had a wonderful time with them this morning. But that's the dilemma we are often faced with. Do we stay here and maybe have a chance to see a really rare animal, or do we head over to the west and go and see Karula's children? Well, since I'm behind the wheel and I'm making the decisions, I decided to stay here in the east. lash me, thrash me, kill haul me for doing so. I'm hoping that I can make it up to you. Hello Roller, good night Roller. Women with minds. I was thinking of women with minds. I was thinking of Daphne Sheldrick. I was thinking of Wangari Maathai. She would have been an incredible person to have on the vehicle. Jane Goodall, thank you. Who was that? Some people. Very good suggestion. Jane Goodall, thank you. Phyllis. Well, there's another one. Phyllis, would love to have you on the vehicle with us. I don't know who that is. Mirut Goldika. I'm just saying it phonetically what I'm hearing. It don't ring a bell. Maybe spell it for me. What about Sarah Palin? I've never heard that lady's name. Beirut Haldikat. What? Please send me information what she does. Helen Zull, the DA leader in the Cape. Julius Malema.
Yeah.
I can feed him to. Yeah, I can feed him to the. I can go to the Matimbas, find the Matimbas, and there's a book. Remember there was that book called An Inconvenient Truth?
Yes.
Was that Al Gore? Wasn't that Al Gore? I think it was Al Gore. Somebody's written a book called An Inconvenient Youth. I think it's about Julius Malema. Very appropriate. Very nice. An Inconvenient Youth. Let's not get political. I don't want any political figures, because I would feed them to the lions. I'd be able to film on live broadcast what happens when you get out of the vehicle at a lion sighting. No, I'm joking. Please don't take me seriously. I'll probably be put in jail for that. My mother. I would like to have actually both my mother and my father right here. Celebrities. We were talking about celebrities. Charles Darwin. You'd probably like to have someone like Derek Jabir.
Yeah. That would be quite intimidated next to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be intimidated from a camera point of view. I know him. He was at my sister's wedding.
Oh, was it?
Painted dogs, can they get rabies? Yes, indeed, they can. Jojo. I mean, 15 minutes. It's still light. And this is why we're going to be going out later soon. Probably let's try and work on it like Tuesday or Wednesday or so, where we'll leave at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we can still be out when it's a little bit dark. Because if there's only 15 minutes left to drive, and that means we don't even get to use the spotlight. So we're going to miss out on bush babies and white-tailed mongoose and other nocturnal wonders of. So soon. I said Darwin, but I said yeah, Marsha must have read my mind. I did say Darwin. And if we can bring back from the dead people like Darwin, yeah. His Royal Highness Prince Philip, I would like to have. Did I say David Attenborough? No, not Charles. I'm not interested in Charles. Yes, I want Philip, old man. No, but also Philip has a good sense of the environment. Prince Philip, I think, understands things better. Okay, Charles does too. Charles and his boys visited our camp in Tanzania in 1997 or 96. That was 97 actually. Charles and the boys were kids then. I mean, young Harry was only about 13 or something, 12 or 13. They went fishing with the guides. They had a ball. They actually had a really nice time with our guides, fishing in the Rufiji River and the lakes. Bit of a nightmare catering, having to fly in salmon and stuff. But I remember reading speeches. Let me see, maybe this is news. Fine, let me get an update where the dogs might be. Okay, so they headed back towards Cheetah Plains, Nkoro, headed back east again, for now, at any rate. I think they're just going to stay in that area. Tomorrow they're going to be here. Tomorrow they're going to be tearing down this fire break, and we're going to find them. I'm not going to say I promise, because I can't. I'm certainly going to dream it. I'm going to put it out there into the ether, and I'm going to hope that they're going to pick up on that and follow what I'm asking them to do. This is Biffles of Cutline. Beautiful roads stretching to the west, and those beautiful mountains far to the west. And for the umpteenth time since I've been here, I missed that moment when the sun was setting directly west of this horse, directly along the end of this road. Because it's sometime in September that to the right hand side of this road to the north is our winter sunshine, and now it's starting to make its way south, and it's already south of this road. You can see a light there at the base of the mountain. It's one of the towns, probably the edge of Acorn Hook. There's some lights burning. Maybe Hoedspruit. Don't know. I think it's Hoedspruit. Hoedspruit's further north. Switching to electric. We're now running on electric. Do I need lights? Not really. Doesn't make much difference, does it? Okay. I tried. I hope I get a few points for trying, just hanging out there in the east thinking they might come this way. But I now put all the pressure on Tara. At least we know they're nearby. At least we know that they're in the area and they're likely to come by. And I think Tara is blessed with a bit of luck, just judging by the way things have started with this checklist challenge, that maybe Tara is going to be lucky tomorrow. Oh, yeah, but now monitor is easy, Tar. There's the rock monitor that might be a bit difficult. No, rock's not. No, but at least you're going to likely find another monitor, and I'm not going to find a fish eagle that easily, or a spoonbill this time of the year now. But I got the slender mongoose today. I challenge you to get a slender mongoose the way I got a slender mongoose today. See why this is going to be fun, because some days we're going to see an animal that is not necessarily going to be here every single day. Sorry, I left the radio next to the microphone.
No, nothing changeable.
Won't happen again.
Was running that in the one. They will go to the diesel.
Are you going to Chipper later? You'll find them on Gary Main, probably. At the dip, Mulwanini.
I'll take some pictures for you.
Yeah. The Mulwanini is another smaller riverbed east of the Mulwati. And that's where they are. Venus in the west. Today we should be able to get it. We've got Jupiter rising and Venus setting at the moment. Look at that beautiful sky. There we go, look at that. The goddess of love. A very, very bright Venus. I love this color with the silhouetted trees. This is almost it's almost like out of a picture, this Africa of ours. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the brakes don't squeak anymore. Because we're not rubbing metal against metal anymore. New brake pads. Soon we'll have new tie rod ends, new universal joints on the prop shaft. Whee! Sorry. Really sensitive. If you call that dry. You know, if Jupiter was up. It's not yet, because it's only coming up much later. But for the zoomies who are on camp tonight and following nights, the next few nights when Jupiter's rising, try to zoom in on it, because you are bound to see some of its moons. You don't have to zoom that close. You only have to zoom about 10-15 times. You should be able to pick up on some of Jupiter's moons. At least 2 or 3 of them. Jupiter will be the only, just like we were looking at Venus now, Jupiter will be the similar, and it'll be rising later. And it's very big. It's the brightest thing you're going to see because there's no moon. And with the camera like we have at the dam, you should be able to see some, you should be able to zoom in a bit and see the moons. Now, where Venus is now, Venus you'll never see higher up in the sky. Venus is just above the horizon. At the moment it's our evening star. It does become a morning star. But it is never either in the evening or morning, and that is because it is so close to the sun, between us and the sun, that it never gets above us or behind us in the solar system. It's always in front of it. It's always the side of the sun. So whether it's sunrise or sunset, it's always going to be the side of the sun. Obviously, because Venus is setting now, it has been in that part of the sky. It's just been daylight. But it doesn't really get much higher, then it comes down again.
I did change one day, but it was still the same. But yeah, I will try to change it again for second time. I can't copy. Enjoy evening. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go through a dip. And we're about to end off our drive. Well, I'll just run maybe a minute or so late then, because I want to get back onto Gary Cutline, heading back towards Central Road to say goodbye, and signal's going to be breaking up shortly before I get there. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think I got that many. So I think, as it stands, didn't you also get 17, Tara? Okay, so each of our first days on our checklist challenge, Tara and I each got 17. Seb got 18 to start with. Now, first days of the checklist challenge. I mean, we each did see a lot more than that, but we didn't get your IDs on things. We've each got another 9 days of drives, another 18 drives each. We do have quite a number of species to cover, especially with the birds. So we need to keep up the sort of momentum of at least 15 to 20 a day. At first I was thinking, we could do 5 a day, but we'll never cover it all. And we want to try and cover everything. So I think we're off to a good start here. I was hoping I could just come up with one nocturnal animal to end my day. Okay. I guess it's not really fair if I run late and extra time, so we are running over time. So time to say good night, sweet Sweet dreams. Take care. Et tout à l'heure. Oh yeah, I was 15 minutes short. But then we you all, both. Yeah, all. You both had to cut your drives short. There. How's that look? Yeah. That looks okay. You can see me. I had a fun afternoon. It's just such an incredible time of the year to be driving around this part of the bush. And I even spend a bit of time out here during the day between drives now because there's so much happening. And I want to find some of these insects when they're first coming out. What a day, what a day. Well, maybe tomorrow we're going to be lucky with some very special animals that might come in from the east. Maybe we'll have Karula coming back. Maybe we'll have, well, we're going to get some of those tawny cats back too during this time with our checklist challenge. That remains to be seen. My name is Mark. Seb has been on camera. Tara has been in final control. And this has been our Djuma PM Safari here at Djuma Game Reserve, our live PM Safari. Thank you for joining me, and Seb, and Tara, and thank you for your support as well. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock Central African time. Bye for now.
Hi everybody, this is Time Final Control. Thank you very much for joining us here on... Oh, I'm not too sure what's going on with the picture here. I hope you guys are seeing a good picture and it's not flickering like it is doing on my screen. But let me just see if we can sort it out and I'll be back with you. Okay, hopefully that's all good now. Very odd. I've not experienced that one before. But thank you very much for joining us here on the live safaris. And I am going to be heading out. I'll have my second day of the challenge. So I hope you can join us 6 o'clock Central Africa time. We will let you know when the drive times change. And that's just to coincide with the heat. So the afternoon will be pushed back a little bit. So we're not out in the heat of the day when most animals are going to be relaxing and tired and not really on screen too much. But we do push it back so it's a little bit cooler, and that's when you start to get more of the activity from the animals in the summer. And same with the morning drive as well. So the morning we push it back, or we push it forward a little bit, again just to get it when it's a little bit cooler, when you're going to get more animal activity. So we will let you know. We will let you know via Facebook and on the drives of the coming days when we are going to be doing that. Fireside chat is tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Africa time in the evening. So do join us for the fireside chat. And just to stop the rumours, I'm not leaving. I'm not sure where that rumour came about, but I'm not going. And as far as we know, well, we haven't been told anything about whether drives are continuing or not. So do keep getting the word out to family and friends and spreading the word as much as possible. So we're not out of the woods as yet, but hopefully with everything that's been going on, hopefully we will have another 3 months at least. So keep your fingers crossed for that. But do join us then for 7 o'clock Central Africa time. And we will be going out for our next challenge tomorrow morning, and we have 18 drives between us left, 18 drives each to finish the challenge and see how many species we can get. So if you would like the list, then it's checklistdjuma@hotmail.com, .co.za. So checklistdjuma@hotmail.co.za. That's where you can find the list of animals, and Eugene will send it back to you. So enough from me. Take care, everybody, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.